So we went shopping the other week and I just had to pull out my phone because I noticed just how much plastic packaging is once again making its way into our trolley regardless of the efforts that we're putting in. And I know it's March, but I am putting my foot down and I'm setting a new goal to try get rid of this plastic and make a change in my life. I'm hoping to look at these products that are in my trolley today with you guys and be able to, instead of purchase them, learn how to make them instead. Now, I know this is a big goal for a lot of things, but I'm going to do my best, and so I'm excited to talk you through that today. As we all know, plastic pollution is a serious problem. In fact, they even found microplastics in our drinking water and inside of our bodies, and that's pretty scary. I've already spoken in the past about how I'm reducing my plastic consumption, how we're eliminating things that we don't need, removing our need to consume new things like new phones, new cars, new shoes, new clothes, all of that, and instead focusing on what we can reuse, repurpose, and using what we already have and giving it new life. I think that's so much more fulfilling and is so much better for our environment than the current trajectory of where human life is going. Although you've heard me of participating in Plastic Free July in the past, I don't think I've ever quite sat down and talked about just how much plastic we've removed from our life, what things we've changed over, and kind of talk you through how I audit our bins. So look at the plastic that we do have in our rubbish bins or the non-recyclable items, and then how I take those things and improve on them moving forward. So I want to talk to you about what I've done so far this last year or so. So this year that's just gone, I've really focused on things like our beauty products and our cleaning products especially. So as far as our shampoo and conditioner goes, I can officially say we have switched over to those bars for our hair and conditioner, and they work amazing. Like, my hair's been clean for days and it smells amazing, it works great, and it doesn't foam up like a normal shampoo or conditioner because it's not supposed to. And I think when we have products with chemicals, we forget just how natural products should be reacting with our bodies and with our hair. So that's a big change. As far as cleaning our dishes goes, this is another place that we have made significant steps in this year. We've started using loofahs for our scourers instead of those plastic ones that are a huge contributor to microplastics. We have also started using like a knitted cotton cloth to wipe benches instead of using paper towels. We still use paper towels in our cooking because we haven't found a solution to get by that. Like, we love good food, and sometimes that involves frying food in oil, and to reduce the amount of oil we're consuming or that is on our food, we like to use paper towels underneath to soak it up. We do use those paper towels then as fire lighters in our fire, so we do kind of have a purpose for them, and I think that's where, if you are using things that are considered more wasteful, if you can kind of close that loop instead of just throwing it away, find it a new purpose, like firelighters. The year before that, we made significant steps in reducing our consumption of new clothing. So Sam and I are all over secondhand clothes. We love going up shopping and finding really great items and being able to find the fabrics that we like, the styles that we like that suit us, but also knowing and feeling really good about the fact that those clothes are not ending up in waste, they're not going unused in someone's wardrobe, and they're not having to be made new in a third world country where people aren't getting paid fairly just to clothe us for a few days or a few seasons. So that's been feeling really good. I think hands down though, the biggest change that we have made, or the biggest focus we have put towards in reducing consumption, plastic and waste in our lives, is learning to cook, and then using that skill to produce as much of our own food as we can from whole food ingredients, as opposed to going and buying it packaged. So even little things like buying a whole carrot instead of buying a plastic packaged pre-cut carrot sticks thing. Growing our own lettuce in our gardens and our own tomatoes instead of, again, buying the alternative package wrapped things from the store. For some reason, Woolworths and Coles is so focused on using plastic wrapping around food that really doesn't need it. Even just those little stickers that they stick on apples and fruit really drives me insane. And so it's up to us to notice these things, I think, and then be able to reduce them where we can. I'm really on and off with going to farmers markets and whole foods shops, and I think this year going forward, I want to get back on that train and be more proactive about actually going to places that are reducing their package consumption so that then I can purchase from them in bulk and reduce that need for plastic wrapping around food that doesn't need it. Going with the point that I just made, I don't think that there's a right or a wrong way to reduce your waste, and a lot of the time, and I've noticed this in myself as well, you take a few steps forward and sometimes something might become difficult or unsustainable, or you're just in a period of your life where having to make bread, let's say, every single week is a bit tough. I think it's okay to give yourself a break, take a step back for a week or two, even a month, a year if you need. Purchase bread if that's what makes you happy, but then try to get back on top of that good habit that you used to have, baking bread again or purchasing it with brown paper packaging and using that in your fire or using that in your compost pile, as opposed to getting the alternative, which is wrapped in plastic. I feel like this video is going to be really rambly and I'm really sorry, but I just hope that I'm kind of getting across to you that it isn't a linear thing. You are going to go back and forwards, and give yourself a break. Give yourself some credit as well for the efforts you are putting in, and as much as you can, just observe what is coming into your home, what is coming into your life, on your body, in your body, and just think about your next step. And so right now, that's exactly what we're going to do. The last week or so, I've been saving up a few packaging from things that we are still buying that is almost unavoidable as far as plastic waste goes. And so I want to kind of talk you through my plan this year of how I'm going to move forward with these things. Talk you through my goals for sustainability this year and my next focus area. About a year ago now, I would say, Sam and I started making our own dog food. And we did this in an effort not only to ensure that our dogs have really good nutrition and are getting food that is wholesome and isn't filled with things that we don't want them to be consuming. But another reason we did this is to try avoid those big bags of dog feed that we just didn't quite have a use for. And even though that was a really good step for them and for us, we did notice that we then had to start buying ingredients like lentils and rice, which, if you get out of the habit of buying whole foods and bulk foods from a store, you end up with even more packaging. And it's smaller, yes, but you're having more of it. So this is something that's really bothering me at the moment. I'm making this video really as a kick up my butt to get back into the bulk whole food store or do some research online to another company that can give us lentils and brown rice in bulk so that we can continue making dog food for the boys. As a gardener, I'm a bit embarrassed to admit this, but this recently came through our fridge, and yes, you might read that it says lettuce, which is supposedly the easiest thing to grow in a garden because it only takes 8 weeks for it to grow. It matures really quickly, you can harvest it, eat it, and I think my problem stems down to, and the reason this ended up in our bin, I'm not consistent enough with my plantings of things like lettuce and carrots. And so this year my goal is to be better at successionally planting those things in my garden so that we always have them accessible and available, because I hope that this year I never have to see a package like this in our bin ever again. This next product that I found in our bin is a little bit harder to replace, but I think we're already taking the steps towards it. So it's things like salt, it's things like sugar. You know that we have bees, and so that's our way of trying to reduce how much sugar we have. Unfortunately though, with things like preserving, honey can't be used for that because the flavor gets changed, and so sugar becomes necessary for preserves. This year I am aiming to do a lot more preserved food from our garden, and so I'm noticing more vinegar bottles and sugar packets coming through our rubbish. I think my solution for this is just going to be a bit more organized when it comes to this period of time in the year. So buying vinegar in a massive tub in bulk, because we use it for our cleaning anyways. It's not going to hurt to have more of it in our home. And same with sugar, going to the whole bulk food store or just buying packaging that's a little bit more sustainable. So this one, if you can see, is lined with plastic, and when I bought this packet of sugar I looked on the outside, which is very deceiving because it's beautiful cardboard, and yeah, I made that mistake. So I'm going to be a lot more vigilant at looking at the packaging properly and making sure that I'm not just purchasing something quickly and not realizing what it's going to do. This little salt packet I'm not as upset about, because it's got one of these like little clip things. So this can actually be reused quite easily for chopping up some fruit, freezing it, being able to freeze your fruit as opposed to buying frozen fruit in packaging. Lets you use these things again. I must say though, I would love to find a way to harvest our own salt in the future, but I just don't see this happening anytime soon. I have also experimented with using some of our salt bush, dried and ground up, as a salt seasoning. It's not quite the same, but yeah, maybe just reducing our consumption of salt is going to be that step forward. Using soy sauce instead, which again comes in a plastic bottle, and I need to get better at buying from the whole bulk food store. Whole bulk food store, it just doesn't sound right. Another huge waste product that keeps coming through our rubbish bin, which I know we have a solution for already and we just need to get back on top of it, is things like pasta, spaghetti, spiral pasta and noodles. Now noodles are a little bit harder to make than pasta is, so Sam's got a bit of an excuse compared to me, but pasta is easy. We literally have a pasta machine. I've made it in the past and it's delicious. It takes no time at all. It feels really good to make it from scratch and it cooks up really fast. So this year my goal is to try make some homemade pasta and try to make it so that I can preserve it for the year. So hopefully we'll get to do that together. We'll experiment with making a few different varieties, maybe even making some gnocchi with some of the pumpkins that will come through the garden this year, or some of the potatoes that I'm already harvesting. I have set Sam the challenge of trying to make his own noodles. They probably won't be exactly the same, and that doesn't matter because just the fact that it's homemade will already feel so special that a bit of a texture change or size of a noodle I think we'll be able to see past. And then the last thing that I really want to focus on this year as well is our dairy products. We go through a heck of a lot of milk, a lot of cheese and a lot of butter, and we are probably not going to cut those things out of our lives anytime soon. We might experiment with supplementing some of our milk consumption with like a nut-based milk, which is really easy to make at home. All you need is some nuts of your choice, some water and a sweetener like honey or maple syrup. Blend it up all together and then squeeze out the liquid from the pulp. The pulp can then be used for crackers, which is amazing and is another thing that I would love to experiment making this year. Making my own crackers or like Dorito chips would just be awesome. A lot of work, so I don't think I'll be making it often, but yeah, I'm hoping to find like a kick-ass cracker recipe so that we can enjoy snacks which we love as often as we can, but then feel good that we're not creating packaging problems and waste in the world. But as far as milk goes, I did end up finding late last year a company around us, a few suburbs up from us, that does milk in glass bottles, and you can actually bring in the bottles and then refill them. So I really want to try get on top of that. And then, as I said, substituting with a bit of nut-based milk as well. I want to try and make some more of our own cheeses. Cheddar isn't as easy to make, so I'm going to see what we can do with that. And then butter and yogurt, I'm hoping if we're getting milk from a bulk whole food place, then we can get enough to experiment with making some of those things. So far with things like oils and sauces, I think the best way that we've been able to combat waste has been to buy in glass jars, so then we can reuse those glass jars for preserving things or for storing food. And I think we'll continue doing that. We've also been trying to, as I said much earlier, buy whole ingredients, so the whole carrot, the whole cabbage, the whole whatever, and learning to cook our favorite things with it rather than buying them pre-packaged. And this also eliminates the need for buying canned goods. So if we're able to grow enough tomatoes in our garden and preserve them in jars we already have, we're reducing the need for buying canned tomatoes. Likewise with beans and pulses, if we're buying whole food chickpeas, we can get them from the store without packaging, have them in jars that we store them in, and then be able to rehydrate them to use them in our cooking. I think overall this video is kind of a reminder to all of us to become aware of what's coming through your waste bins. Have a think about what you can eliminate completely, what you can try and make yourself and feel really empowered in learning a new skill, or what you can just kind of shift slightly in order to reduce your waste, even if that means shifting your mindset from convenience to, hey, this is the right approach, I should go to the whole bulk food store as opposed to just going to the Woolworths that's close by. I really look forward to this year sharing some of the recipes and the things that I'll be doing to reduce our waste further. Things like making crackers and pasta, experimenting with cheese and yogurt, growing more lettuce and getting really good at successional planting. And yeah, just finding solutions to all these little things until hopefully by the end of the year, when we get onto our bus, we don't need a massive bin or a recycling centre every few weeks to get rid of our waste. We can instead feel really proud that we're only creating so much waste in the world, if any. Although realistically, I think we'll still be creating waste into the future, but hopefully just reducing it to things that can actually be repurposed or recycled, like glass and metal. Thank you for letting me have this chance to just chat to you about something that I really care about, kind of reflecting on my own journey and how I wish to move forward. And I'm really looking forward to making you some more really cool videos on some of the processes that I go through to reduce waste further. So I will see you next time.